of Illinois, the FBI, they raided the village of Dalton as well as Thornton Township today, dropping subpoenas amid allegations of corruption against Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard. This is a story from ABC7. The FBI said, quote, agents were conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in that particular area. They obtained personnel records, including those of police officers, as well as business records. Now, of course, the mayor of Dalton has come under a lot of criticism because of her actions. She has been ripped by many of her council members. When she came on the show here, she said, oh, she had done nothing wrong. It was all her critics. Well, now this is escalated. The council also hired former Chicago mayor and former U.S. Attorney Lori Lightfoot to lead an investigation into corruption against Tiffany Henyard. There have been a number of allegations against her. One staffer said that she was sexually assaulted on a city trip to Las Vegas. You have allegations of folks not getting paid in the city. I mean, you name it. Also, people being illegally terminated, and so it's been lots and lots of drama. And again, when Henyard was on this show here, I had sources that were texting me that FBI investigators were literally talking to people as she was sitting on this.
It was just so bad, and you could tell why there's so much of a trail of incompetence and illegal activity. Those three people are not bright. And they're not even average intelligence. It's below intelligence. I think they believe what they say is great, and they're killing it, and everyone's believing what they're saying, and it's the complete opposite. Everything they say does not make sense. I mean, the way Henyard was speaking, that's a mayor, right? A mayor in this.
And it should be on their cameras too. So you'll see.
Did he threaten you or anything?
Nah, I never talked to him.
Okay. No contact with him.
Never talked to him. Thank you, Jesus. Nah, I didn't get out the car. I didn't talk to him. None of that. It's just the point of harassment. People stalking you.
Does he live in your town?
Nope.
No.
He's one of them YouTubers that just like, how can I say it? Jump up on adrenaline.
Okay. Would your chief have his?
Wait, he's a YouTuber.
She waited 20 years and she waited 30 years. I knew if it was ever happened to me, absolutely not, that I knew justice needed to come immediately. And that's why. So it might seem like it's a now for you, but this has been a long journey for me already. And I've already put my suffering aside, I put my depression aside. I've worked on all that. I did my praying on if I should be sitting in front of you today saying my story. And I'm ready. That's why now. And I'm not just fighting for me no more. I realize that I'm fighting for every woman that's been in my position. I'm fighting for a sister that doesn't have a voice. I'm fighting for a sister that's scared. I'm fighting for a sister who doesn't have a sister. I'm fighting, not just for me. Being in our modes of being an assistant, we're saying stuff out loud, especially if the mayor's there, 'cause she's always doing something, so she wants to hear what we have while she's doing something or whatever. So now, that assistant, she'll always say, okay, well, we got this upcoming trip, and then she said the dates, and she said May 21st, and I was like, that's my 31st birthday. I've never been there. I didn't necessarily know if I was going or not, but I definitely said, I want to make that trip. So Tiffany was, telling me, like, this is not, no trip like that. Like this, we're going down there for business. And I said, well, I definitely understand, but I still never been in the vicinity of Vegas. So even if I could just be there and it's my birthday, I would still feel good. But I was like, how hard I work anyway, so I'm not even worried about that. And that was the conversation.
We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime. And instead, we have several officers that are
conduct an audited financial statement, where we have to caveat the accuracy of the information, but we feel fairly confident based upon lining out not only the monthly report, but looking at bank statements that match up with the information that's in the financial report. We had the opportunity to talk to some of the folks that the taxpayer firm who were responsible for managing the finances of the village, not working alone. As of May 30th of this year, the village general fund is in a net deficit position, meaning that there is insufficient fund in that So, as you mentioned, there was a majority.
I am the leader. They want to hear from the mayor. If y'all ain't learned that yet, the mayor, not the trustees that don't do nothing, that only run their mouth.
In a shocking turn of events, a discovery inside the home of Tiffany Henyard has left everyone in disbelief. Tiffany, the well-known mayor of Dalton, Illinois, has found herself at the center of a scandal that has taken the internet by storm. News broke earlier this morning when investigators revealed that something highly unexpected was uncovered in her residence. People are asking what could have been found in Tiffany Henyard's house that's causing such an uproar. What follows next is a story that's gripping the nation, and you won't believe what was revealed behind those closed doors. According to sources close to the investigation, authorities were tipped off after receiving a series of anonymous complaints.
Just one station about Mayor Tiffany Henyard's controversial police security detail and how it impacted his ability to fight crime.
Last year, a Fox 32 investigation showed how that detail is taking officers off the street and costing taxpayers thousands of dollars in overtime. Dane Placco continues his investigation, exclusively talking to the former top cop who tried to put a stop to it.
The manpower was just very stressed and critical to the point of almost breaking.
Former Dalton Police Chief Robert Collins spoke to us from Florida, where he's taken a new job after being fired by Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard late last year. But Collins says he remains frustrated by what he experienced leading an undermanned, overworked police department, while Mayor Henyard demanded a large personal security detail.
You know, wrong is wrong, and there's a time to hold people responsible and accountable for their actions.
Last year, a Fox 32 investigation followed Henyard's detail as Dalton police officers drove her from morning till night, often to her second taxpayer-funded job as Thornton Township Supervisor in South Holland. Through an open records request, we found the officers assigned to Henyard racking up hundreds of hours of overtime, costing taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars.
But at some point, there would be 2 officers or 3 officers, and depending on if there was some type of event, it would be more officers.
That's for a town of a little more than 20,000 people that's struggling economically and usually only has a few officers on duty per shift. Collins says Henyard's security detail was warranted when it started in 2021, after a police-involved shooting sparked protests and threats.
And at some point, the protests stopped. However, the detail continued.
And it grew in size and scope. Collins says Henyard frequently uses the officers as her personal valets.
Officers would be sent out to run errands, to do pickups.
And the mayor's detail racked up thousands of dollars in travel expenses, accompanying Henyard on her many trips out of town.
Why do you need a security detail while you're out of town? Who's on the other end of that flight that's going to do harm?
Collins says he became increasingly frustrated because the mayor's detail tied his hands when it came to fighting crime. Just last week, a mass shooting on Sibley Boulevard left 4 people injured. Collins believes the bad guys know there aren't enough cops on Dalton's streets.
But Village of Dalton has its challenges with gangs, guns, and drugs. And if those officers aren't there, the visibility isn't there. And if the visibility isn't there, then criminals have free reign.
When we tried to ask Mayor Henyard about her use of the detail last year, we were stopped by Village Administrator Keith Freeman.
Mayor, mind if I ask you a couple questions about your security detail?
Absolutely not.
I'm asking her.
Yeah, she says no.
Collins says he got the same cold shoulder when he tried to tell Freeman about the problems the mayor's detail was creating.
And it more or less was, these are the orders. This is what you have to do.
Last week, Collins filed a civil lawsuit against the Village of Dalton for wrongful termination, saying he was fired by the mayor without cause and without board approval because his wife is friends with some of the mayor's perceived political enemies.
And our contention is that it is illegal.
Did he do anything wrong?
No. Chief Collins, any position that he's ever been in is a policeman's policeman. He held the rank of chief, but he's a patrolman at heart.
But it is frustrating to see the officers used like that. I'm sure the officers are frustrated too, but they following orders.
What started as a routine inquiry quickly escalated when officials uncovered something startling inside Tiffany Henyard's home. Initial reports are being kept under wraps, but what we do know is that this discovery has the potential to shake up her career and personal life in ways no one could have predicted. While details are still emerging, the revelation has sent shockwaves throughout the community, leaving many residents and political allies stunned by the sudden turn of events. Tiffany Henyard, who has been serving as Dalton's mayor since 2021, has always been a figure of public admiration, known for her leadership and involvement in the community. However, this shocking discovery may throw all that into question, as more detailed evidence are already seizing the moment to criticize her administration. Speculation is running wild, with some suggesting that this could be something far more sinister than anyone expected. What could have been hiding in her home all this time, and why has it been kept secret for so long? As the news spreads like wildfire, people from all walks of life are chiming in with their opinions. Social media is ablaze with theories, rumors, and wild speculations about what exactly was uncovered. Could it be connected to a larger conspiracy, or was it something personal? Some are calling for Tiffany Henyard to make an immediate public statement to clarify the situation, but so far she has remained silent.
Patrolling the streets.
So she's the part-time mayor of a South suburban village of a little more than 20,000 people.
Yet residents of Dalton are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to provide security for their self-proclaimed super mayor.
Tonight, Fox 32 investigates Tiffany Henyard's security detail and the massive amount of overtime it is generating for a handful of officers. Our Dane Placco has more.
Hey guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the People's Mayor and People's Supervisor.
Tiffany Henyard makes nearly $250,000 a year serving as both mayor of Dalton and Thornton Township supervisor, an elected political double dip. She's charismatic and controversial.
Nobody knows something. Don't nobody know nothing.
Here she is starting a Dalton Village board meeting dressed like the Wesley Snipes character in the movie New Jack City. Later, punctuating her political points with the help of her own DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me. Thank you, DJ.
And it's hard to turn anywhere in Dalton without seeing Henyard's picture, or online, where she recently commemorated 9/11 with her own photo.
I want to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
But when we asked Henyard a few months ago about her use of tax dollars, she was quickly hustled out of the room by armed security. And on Facebook, in videos posted by Henyard herself, we see her being driven around and surrounded by Dalton officers, which got us to wondering, why all the cops?
We weren't opposed to her having the security detail. We asked how long and how often.
Dalton trustee Brittany Norwood says Henyard began assembling her details shortly after being elected in 2021, using hand-picked Dalton police officers. Using a Freedom of Information request, we obtained the work records for 6 of the officers assigned to Henyard's security detail at various times, and showed them to some of Dalton's trustees.
This is a Freedom of Information request we did to see how much overtime these officers are making on her security detail.
Oh, wow. 162 hours.
162. Oh, that's nothing. What goes through your mind when you see these numbers?
It's disappointing. It's frustrating.
The officers are paid every 2 weeks, which without overtime is 80 hours. But when they're put on Henyard's detail, that 80 hours balloons to well over 100 hours, sometimes 200 hours. And in the case of Officer Terry Young last May, 303 hours worked over a 2-week period. That resulted in a single paycheck of more than $13,000.
How? How does a person put in a 2-week pay period, 303 hours? That's impossible. That's impossible.
336
Does he
hours.
never go to sleep?
In fact, there are 336 hours total in 2 weeks, meaning Young was not being paid for only 33 hours over that period. Other officers on the security detail are also racking up overtime paychecks in the multiple thousands of dollars.
Mayor, mind if I ask you a couple questions about your security detail?
Absolutely not.
I'm asking her.
Yeah, she said no.
A couple weeks ago, we tried to question Henyard about her detail as she went door to door in Dalton giving out water on a 100-degree day, surrounded by police, firefighters, public works employees, and 2 videographers documenting for Dalton's Facebook page.
I want to tell the people I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. I hope they post what we actually do here in the village of Dalton and stop telling lies.
But when we gave her an opportunity to explain the OT,
Mayor, why do you need so many officers, details, or your security?
What did you say, water? It sounded like you said water.
earlier that day, we watched as a Dalton cop drove Henyard from her other job at Thornton Township to a Mexican restaurant for lunch. Trustees say the security detail picks the mayor up at her home in the morning and is with her until she's dropped off at night, often taking her on errands and shopping. Does she need a security detail?
Absolutely not. Why? Why would you need a security detail?
Oh, she loves it. She just loves it. She loves the detail. I think it makes her feel as if she's like a superstar.
Dalton trustees have filed a lawsuit against Henyard, saying she's not justified the need for security and is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on it without the board's approval.
I see no justification whatsoever, and more than that, it's really a detriment to the residents of Dalton.
How so?
The residents, if we would take the same money and put it on officers patrolling the streets, then the residents will see a much better presence and public safety will be better.
We've had a few shootings, so we need the extra police patrolling our streets instead of patrolling her.
And we found Dalton credit card statements showing that Henyard takes the detail with her even when she travels out of town, spending thousands of dollars on plane tickets, lodging, and meals for the officers. Mayor, why are you taking all the officers out of town with you? Isn't that a waste of taxpayers' money?
Let's go to this one right here, 30 times.
Anything you want to say to defend yourself on this? As for the village's finances, trustees say Dalton is now getting sued by some vendors for failure to pay its bills.
In the last 2 fiscal years, we're $5 million in the hole. And a big part of it is the security detail.
It's embarrassing.
Embarrassing?
It's embarrassing. You don't see the governor with a detail as hers.
That lawsuit over the mayor's detail has not yet been settled. On Monday, we emailed a list of detailed questions to Henyard's spokesman, but never received a response.
The lack of response from her office is only fueling more curiosity and suspicion. As the clock ticks, more pressure is mounting on Tiffany to address these startling revelations. The discovery has not only shocked local residents but also caught the attention of national news outlets. Journalists and reporters are now digging into Tiffany Henyard's past, searching for clues that might connect her to this explosive situation. Previously seen as a rising star in the political scene, her career now stands on shaky ground. The house itself, once a symbol of her success and stability, is now at the heart of one of the biggest scandals to hit Dalton in recent memory. Whatever was found inside could change everything for her both personally and professionally. Despite the growing media frenzy, those close to Tiffany Henyard are rallying behind her, claiming that this discovery is being blown out of proportion. Close friends and family insist that whatever was found does not reflect who she truly is.
Her capacity as Dalton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor. And now we've learned from multiple sources that federal agents are in fact interviewing witnesses as part of a possible investigation that may or may not result in charges. Did the FBI agents you talked to seem serious about
very serious
concerns?
Very serious. Very.
Lawrence Gardner owns a U-Haul rental and trucking business in South Suburban Dalton and says he went to the FBI several months ago, frustrated that the village of Dalton would not renew his business license. Gardner says he's been harassed and his business raided and shut down by Dalton police. He believes because he refused to make a donation to a civic event sponsored by Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
And I talked to a couple of agents and I explained them what was going on. I gave them all my paperwork to show them what was happening in court and what was happening in Dalton. And they told me they was investigating and they would be in touch with me.
Gardner is one of 6 people who confirmed to Fox 32 that they've been interviewed by the FBI, ranging from Dalton business owners to a former village employee and at least one public official. And we've learned the FBI has been using electronic surveillance as part of its investigation. Agents are asking questions about Henyard's alleged use of taxpayer dollars and resources, including massive spending on out-of-town trips, hundreds of thousands of dollars in police overtime for her personal security detail, using public employees and tax dollars for personal benefit, and holding up licenses to certain businesses like this Dalton restaurant.
I've heard rumors that say, hey, I'm on the wrong team.
Dwayne Wood has been trying to renew the business license for his restaurant for nearly a year. While he has not talked to the FBI, he believes he can't get approved because he's provided catering to several Dalton trustees who are engaged in a political fight with Henyard.
I think I've been just targeted because of my affiliation with a certain group of people. You know, I had the trustees. I've cooked for the trustees.
And in a lawsuit filed by a Dalton towing company, the owner alleges their business license has been held up because, quote, George's Towing's refusal to support or contribute to Henyard's political campaign. In a statement, Dalton trustee Jason House reacted to the news of the FBI's involvement. We welcome any investigation that will bring transparency on how taxpayer dollars are being spent. Our residents deserve this level of financial transparency. We reached out to the FBI, which said it is policy for the agency not to comment on the nature, existence, or non-existence of any investigation that may be occurring. A public relations firm responded on behalf of the mayor, saying neither Henyard or the village of Dalton have received any subpoenas or been contacted by the FBI.
Still, the public wants answers, and as more time passes, the pressure is only intensifying. Investigators remain tight-lipped, fueling speculation even further. Could there be something criminal? Or is this simply a misunderstanding? Until official statements are made, the world can only guess at what's really going on behind the scenes. In the meantime, experts are weighing in on how this revelation could impact Tiffany Henyard's future. Some believe that if the discovery turns out to be as damaging as speculated, it could mean the end of her political career. Others argue that she has enough support from the community to weather this storm, depending on how she handles the fallout.
You're being sued for an alleged sexual assault against a former village employee. The village administrator now facing bankruptcy fraud charges. And today, this afternoon, federal agents popping in Village Hall looking for some information.
The house of cards are collapsing. I think the government is taking action.
It's normally bad news when federal agents stop by a village hall looking for documents, but that's not bad news to many in Dalton.
Months and months and months, we've been begging for someone to come out here and actually investigate as to what's actually going on out here.
Video appears to show those federal agents inside Village Hall Friday afternoon, where we've learned they were serving 2 subpoenas. One focuses on employment and disciplinary records of 25 Village of Dalton employees, including 3 police officers and Keith Freeman, the senior administrator recently charged with bankruptcy fraud. The other subpoena focuses on Freeman and any potential involvement with certain companies, whether or not they received any money, had business or contracts relating to the village. One trustee says Mayor Tiffany Henyard has left them in the dark for months.
Since September, we haven't received financials. And the last time we did receive financials, we were informed that we were $7 million in debt.
The Legislative Council for the Board of Trustees says the feds may have a tough time getting the documents they're requesting.
The clerk is the custodian of the records. That's the good news. The bad news is she doesn't have any records because they have taken the records away from her.
I was being told that those documents probably have been shredded weeks ago.
The news of the feds' Friday visit even drawing a crowd near Village Hall, as many in the community support an investigation into Henyard's practices. The trustees even hiring former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot this month to investigate the Dalton mayor.
The people of Dalton want to be rescued. They know they're bleeding. And they know there's no money left, and they live there. And so what's next? Police services, fire services, water, what's next?
The FBI did confirm that they were conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in this area today, but could not comment further. Tonight, Mayor Tiffany Henyard posting on Facebook, pointing out that this was not a so-called FBI raid here at Village Hall, also adding in a statement, quote, "To all you clowns, that's a part of the circus. Misery needs company. I pray for you all."
Political analysts are watching closely to see how this scandal unfolds, as it could serve as a cautionary tale for other public figures. In the world of politics, secrets like these rarely stay hidden for long. While the nature of the discovery remains unclear, sources suggest that it could be related to financial misconduct or even something of a personal nature. Many are speculating about what it could mean for Tiffany Henyard's public image. Could this be the kind of revelation that leaves lasting damage, or is there a chance for redemption? Whatever the case may be, it's clear that Tiffany's silence will only last so long before she has to face the public. As the investigation continues, all eyes are on her next move and whether she can survive the scrutiny. As the days pass, more information is expected to be released, and the public is eager to learn the full scope of the situation. Could this be a case of political sabotage, or is there a deeper, more personal story at play?
Now let's get into the details about Henyard using cops as her security detail 24/7, which is insane because she is a mayor of a small town. Why would she need security 24/7? An open records request shows that officers assigned to Henyard have racked up hundreds of hours in overtime, obviously costing the town quite a bit of money. This is costing the town hundreds of thousands of dollars, actually. And the police get paid every 2 weeks, like most people do, with 80 hours counting as their regular full-time hours. But some of the cops, like Terry Young, have billed as much as 303 hours in a single 2-week pay period. Okay, let that sink in for a second. He billed 303 hours when in 2 weeks there's a total of 336 hours. There's more. That resulted in a single paycheck of more than $13,000. They also ran errands for her. They accompanied her on trips out of town. And even though supervisors appropriated money to ensure that lenders were getting paid for the police cruisers that the town had acquired, Henyard didn't make the payment. And as a result, those vehicles are now going to be repossessed. This is crazy. Now, because of all of this alleged misuse of taxpayer funds, Board of Trustee Jason House reacted favorably to the FBI's investigation, saying that the Board of Trustees and I have repeatedly questioned the mayor's office on her use of public funds. We welcome any investigation that will bring transparency on how taxpayer dollars are being spent. Our residents deserve this level of financial transparency. And honestly, it seems as though the entirety of the Board of Trustees have been pushing back on her spending. Now, Dalton Board of Trustees members are not happy with her. And so in a recent meeting, they went after her. So we'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's start with Brittany Norwood, who's one of the members of the Board of Trustees.
When we first started office, we were financially sound. But over just the last 2, and I want to say maybe 1.5 years, we went from financially sound to a $7 million deficit. And that deficit continues to grow. What she does is she says, well, hey, I'm using all of this money to provide services. So she tricks the citizens into thinking, hey, all of this spending is just to provide you with services. And the trustees, they want to cut the spending because they don't want you to have these services. When the truth is, she's overspending and she's doing so much frivolous spending that it's catching up with us. And at some point, it'll eventually come to an end and we don't know where that may lead us.
This is so deeply unfair to the residents of Dalton. So unbelievably unfair. You think that they couldn't use that money for a better community, whether it be funding their schools, maybe giving them a tax break, a little bit of a tax break, considering how high their property taxes are, considering the fact that 15% of the population living there are currently living in poverty, maybe some social programs to help them out. And earlier this month, the board called for, her to explain some of this spending. They called her spending into question. And Henyard, she was not pleased. And so she went on a very lengthy rant. I have a snippet of that rant for you. Let's take a look.
And y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. All the stuff that y'all did to get people to come to our community, to just diss and down our community. Shame on y'all. Because when I want to attack and take any of y'all seats, I run. I run for the seat. I don't do smear campaigns. I don't do all this mess. It's nonsense. Because at the end of the day, we still got to live in this village.
She kept mentioning how unfair it is that she's being targeted as a black woman. Just want to show you what the racial makeup of the Board of Trustees looks like. Let's take a look. Yeah, I don't think that the questions about her use of public funds has anything to do with race. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it seems like some shady stuff is going on. And it is certainly not fair to the residents of Dalton to have their resources taken from them only to be used on hair and makeup, on a Chevy Tahoe that cost the town $150,000, on a 24/7 security detail for a small town mayor that no one's ever heard of until now, I guess. It's just such awful behavior, and it's such awful abuse of public funds. And so I hope that justice will be served. I hope the FBI.
Speculation is rampant, but without official confirmation, it's impossible to know the full truth. Meanwhile, residents of Dalton are left wondering how this scandal will affect the future of their leadership. Tiffany Henyard's reputation as a community figure has been questioned, and many wonder if she can regain the trust of the people she represents. In the coming days, the truth about what was found in Tiffany Henyard's house will likely come to light. Until then, the mystery continues to captivate the public's attention. Will this shocking discovery mark the end of her political journey, or will she rise above the controversy? As more details emerge, the world is watching closely, waiting for answers. One thing is for sure, this is a story no one saw coming, and the ramifications could be felt for a long time. Stay tuned for updates as we continue to follow this developing story.